Hey, my name is Portia Sterling. Welcome to my channel, and I'm so excited that you are here because I'm starting this new series called the Write With Me series, and it's all about kind of like showing you guys my process as I prepare for writing a new book, but also it's giving space for you to also participate in the process and hopefully plan and outline what will be your book, your new book, your first book, who knows? So if you know somebody who has ever said, hey, I want to write a book and they didn't know how to get started, or if you are that person who has always felt like you had a story to tell and just didn't know where to start, this is the place for you because we can do it together, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is create our first character. So there's a lot of different ways that authors begin planning their stories or deciding what they want to write about. For me, my books usually start with a character. I usually see something or think of something or something happens to wherein it puts me in the mindset of like, who would I have to be for that to happen to me, and how would I work my way through it? And so we don't want to create a character based off of past drama, past wounds, past pains, or patterns, or whatever things that you've overcome in the past, because that's not what this character about. This character is about pulling from your vision, not your wounds, and that's what's so amazing about this process, because authors do use books to kind of work through pain and kind of see themselves in that way, but this creation that we're focusing on today is all about manifesting the present and the future, or bringing the future to life through the present, okay? So you want to kind of come from a place of vision, and I'm going to help you do that. I'm super excited for this process because I am shifting into a new genre of writing with this new book, and I'm so excited about it. I've been waiting for years to get to this moment and to be able to really feel into this character. So I'm excited that I get to do that, but also that I get to share this process with you. And if this is your first time creating a character, just be prepared for just a thrilling ride. I'll just put it that way, because it's not just creating a character like something outside of yourself. Like through the process of writing, you start kind of becoming or seeing, or parts of yourself gets revealed in what you create. So it can be a very revealing experience. If you want to really dig deep with it, you can really see things that you just didn't know about yourself. And I want you to, like, if that comes up, if any kind of feelings come up, just lean into that when you're creating your character, okay? I promise. The journey is interesting, but the result is amazing, okay? Now, without further ado, let me give you some tips of things to think about while you're creating your first character. Let's be real, most character profiles are built almost like trauma dumps in a lot of ways. And that's okay, because some of my favorite books that I've read by some of my favorite authors have been that way, where I'm immediately reading and I'm introduced to the main character and she has like this heaviness about her that automatically makes me think, like, what happened to her, who hurt her, and what is her biggest fear, and why does it seem like she's living it like right now. And you know, that's valid, but I think it's really neat to have a process where you get to consider flipping it and seeing things a different way. So instead of looking at a character and instead of looking at your character that way, we want to look at her and consider different things other than what broke her. Like, what does she want now and what does she deserve? When you like think of it that way. So yeah, you're still considering the things that happens in her life that maybe like the dreams unfulfilled, but instead of like speaking about that, think about like, okay, so now she's at the point where she deserves this. So I'm creating a character who is ready for this, and she's prepared for it, and she's going to get it in this novel. So who is she? Who does she have to be? So who is she becoming when no one's watching? Because if this is somebody who is like, like, I don't know, if she's somebody who is an Olympic gymnast, then that means she's not eating donuts and bagels and, binge watching TV 7 days out of the week. Like, she's doing something that is, first of all, she's training, she's practicing, she's building up her perseverance, her courage, her discipline. So, like, what does that look like behind the scenes? Because you'll need to show that in your book. So you need to build your character with those qualities. Like, is she ambitious? Is she strong? What is she that prepares her and aligns her with the things that you want her to have? What makes her dangerous, but in the best way? Is she just super sexy? Is she super smart? Is she super slick? Is she a smooth talker? Is she like, what's her, like, I don't even want to say a flaw, because it's not. It's like, what is her, like, characteristic that could be a bad thing, but she's figured out how to pull power from it and use it in a powerful way. Like, I know a lot of books where they write about characters who come off all sweet and dainty and all of that, but then you look at her the wrong way, or you try her the wrong way, or you try her, you try her family or whoever, and she just, a whole different version of her comes out. It's like, whoa, I didn't know you had a Solange in there. Like, it's a whole different thing. So, that is a quality that you can pull into your character if you see that. Like, look into yourself, and usually how you can do this is if there's anything that people have shamed you about, that's the thing you want to use. So if they said something like, you're so outspoken, or you're so loud, or you talk too much, or whatever, like, that is that they try to quiet about you, is usually because it makes them uncomfortable, but it's something that is a power of yours that you probably just haven't refined just yet. Like, you might have been at a place where you just had it, you just needed to fine tune it a little bit to get it where it needed to be. So when you're creating this character, think of her as the aspect of you that has already figured that out. Like, she knows what it is, and nobody can tell her that that's a flaw anymore, because she knows herself, and she knows that this isn't a flaw. Like, this is my power. So you just stand over there if you don't know how to deal with it, and God bless. The first thing that you want to focus on is the character shift. So this is when you look at your character, and instead of looking at them through the lens of their past, look at them as the whole version of that. So look at them as the powerful person that was created and refined through the fire of yesterday or yesteryear or whatever like happened before. So this is how you shift your perspective. This is how you shift your perspective on not just the character, but also on yourself. Because if you gave this character qualities that you have, then and especially if you gave them qualities that you haven't yet learned to appreciate, this is your chance to shift the way you look at those qualities and see the beauty in it. So then you can kind of give that love back to yourself. Sometimes it's so strange. Sometimes it's easier to do that with other people or our creations, like our stories or our children. Like, they'll have the same qualities we have, and ourselves, we don't appreciate them as much. But then with them, it's like, oh, but that's just little Johnny or whoever, and he can do no wrong. Or at least that's what we say when other people start saying something about our kids, right? But so this is your opportunity to pull that in, especially if you're somebody that's prone to, like, really negative self-talk. Now you can kind of lay that stuff out and give yourself some compassion by writing from a different perspective. So when I'm writing, I focus on something that I call the 3 pillars of a healed character profile. And this is how I kind of outline a character when I'm looking at them and trying to figure out who they will be at their core. It's it's kind of the framework that I use, and I'll just share it with you in case it works for you. So the first pillar is vision-based desire. And that's when I ask myself the questions: why is she here? What is she here to create? What lights her up? What's her passion? What makes her rise? So even if you think about yourself, there are some things that you can think about that if you are having the worst day, this is the thing that just can immediately excite you. And so for your character, what is that thing for her? And if you want to build off whatever it is for you, you can do that too. Or if you want to build, if you're not quite sure what that is yet for yourself, this is a great time to explore it by giving your character something that you're like, oh, I never did this, but I think this might be cool, so I'm going to give her this as a passion. So the second pillar is shadow ownership. And this is a fun thing to kind of think about when you're creating your character, because every powerful woman has a shadow. Well, everybody period has a shadow, but the difference between a powerful woman in her shadow and someone who hasn't learned yet to walk in her power is that a powerful woman is aware of her shadow. She isn't afraid of it. She doesn't suppress it. She leans into it. She knows when to use it. She doesn't use it in a malicious way, but she doesn't fake nice to make other people feel comfortable or shrink herself, or she doesn't do those things because she knows that it doesn't benefit her in any way. And even though she's not operating in the world in a way where she's intentionally trying to harm other people, she is also not allowing anyone to harm her. So she knows how to kind of keep balance between those things. And so with a character that I'm creating, I definitely write down what their shadow is. So those are those like characteristics that people try to shame you about sometimes, you know, like, oh, she's a know-it-all, or she is, I don't know, too, like, you know, everybody's shaming, what's her name? Megan Good about her dress that she was wearing because I guess they think it's too provocative. I love it. I mean, whatever. But it's, you know, like those things that people try to tell you, you're too much, like dim down, like don't do that. That makes me uncomfortable. Yeah. So those qualities, figure out what that is going to be for your person, and then lean into it to show how does she use that? Like, what does she do with it? The third pillar with building like a healed character is understanding emotional intelligence and understand the difference between that and control. So a powerful character, a healed powerful character, does not micromanage people. Like she reads energy, she sets boundaries. Like I said, she's not shrinking to fit anyone's box, but she's also not forcing other people to do it either. So she acknowledges her boundaries, and she acknowledges the boundaries that other people set. And so she doesn't try to prove herself worthy to fit into their, I don't know, circle or to sit at their table. She protects herself by saying, okay, well, if you can't accept this about me, then that's not where I need to be. And she just moves on about her business. So that's the difference between a character that you might create that is really still heavy in her wounds, where she's constantly trying to prove herself to people she loves or people she wants to love her or the world. And she's constantly out there like doing the, you know, like people call it the pick me energy thing. But, you know, like I hate that term because I don't think it's always like, I don't know. I think it puts a lot of shame on the person that is in that energy when really it's you know, they're trying to figure out a way how to accept themselves and be accepted by others. And it's just kind of like a person that wants to be in a place that they're not meant to be in, and they haven't realized that yet. So, you know, this character that you're creating, she's already gotten to the point where she's like, you know what? I'm cool not being at this table, that table, and the other table. I'm making my own table, and whoever can understand me, they can sit with me here. And if they can't understand me, then I'm fine sitting at the table by myself. So I'll give you a quick behind the scenes on the character that I'm creating. I still, obviously, like I said, I'm still kind of working on the details with her, but I do have her name, which is crazy for me because the name usually is the last thing I go for, but with her, I kind of have it early. But yes, her name is Nevaeh, and I do have an image of her I created. So this is what she looks like. Yay! So I use this exact process to shape her. She's a very layered character. She's very intuitive. She's not perfect. No one is. So yeah, I don't think a book would be interesting if you created perfect characters. So yeah, like she's not there, but she's not overly polished. But she has, had enough of the survival experience, and she's stepping out exactly how she is. And she's at the point in her life where she's like, look, this is me, raw and unfiltered, and that's good enough, right? So in this book, she's kind of focusing on like reclaiming her power for the most piece. Like, that's pretty much her focus. Is like, just, she's done trying, and she's just like, I'm just going to do what feels right for me. And obviously I write romance, so romance will be part of that, but it's kind of one of those, like, right when you're not looking for love, boom, like one of those kind of things. And yeah, she's just integrated parts of herself that she once tried to push away and be like, that's not me, that's not me, that's them. And she's gotten to the point where she realizes, well, that is me sometimes, and that's okay. And yeah, I am like that, and that's okay too. She's just like at that point. And kind of creating her character taught me something as I was kind of going through the process of she was just a thought. Like I said, I've been waiting to write this book for a very long time. But what kind of came to me was like, she's figuring out how to catch the balance between being dangerous and desirable while still being soft. Like, she's kind of juggling all of those. And I was like, well, is that possible? And that's usually how I come up with a character. I think of something that I'm like, is that possible? How is that possible? And that's how I came up with Nevaeh. For me, that's kind of always my process. Like, my characters, unless I just happen to have a dream and it pops up, like a few of my books have come about that way, most of my characters kind of come out of a question. Yeah, kind of out of a question. So at the time I was creating this, a lot of the question, I just heard so many women I know, women online, just women everywhere talking about this soft life thing. And, some had the soft life, and so they were like, this is the soft life, I love my soft life. And, and others and the ones that I was seeing that had the soft life were either talking about how somebody was funding the soft life for them. Some of them were married, and they were like, yeah, my man gives me the soft life. But then I just heard this outcry of like women who weren't in relationships who were like, well, how could I have the soft life? Because I had to do all of this and then be soft. And then men were like, but we want y'all to be soft so we could be with you. So it was like I was like inundated with all of this stuff that I was seeing in my reality online, podcast. And this is why I don't go online all the time. But it led me to a question. And the question was like, okay, so how can you still be a baddie? How can you still be desirable and still be soft, but also still be a boss chick, still be like, how can you still be powerful? Like, and how can you do that as a single woman, like not like a couple but how can you do that? Is that possible? And so that's what led me to Nevaeh. And so, I have to be honest. Like I said, I'm still outlining her character. I haven't even really dove into the actual storyline all that much. It's really just here in my mind, and I'm pulling it out, like I said, in real time. Like, we'll be doing this together. But when I create characters, there's three things that I consider. There's three questions that I consider in my process. I do want to say that the questions, let me add this. The questions that I have for my characters are different depending on the purpose of the character. So for this character, like I said, I wanted to, my initial question was, how can she be dangerous, desirable, and soft all at the same time? How can she be powerful and, this powerful woman, but also maintain her softness? So that's what led me to these other three questions, which, like I said, the first question is, what does she want when she's done proving her worth? So when she's done trying to shape herself to fit someone else's mold, who is she? So what that looks like is, if no one told her, hey, men like heels, or if no one told her they like when you do this, or do this with your hair, or do that, like if she was not doing all these things to herself that she didn't like to fit into something, and if she was investing that time in doing things that she actually loved, who would she be? So if she stopped people pleasing, friends, family, if she stopped putting her energy into filling a box that she never created, what box would she, well, not even box, like who would she make herself? So that was my first question when I was kind of coming up with her. My second question that I asked about this character as I started creating her was, if she's the villain in someone's story, what would be the lie? So that's an interesting question. So I'm going to break it down for you a little bit to tell you what I mean by that. So how I came up with this question is, I kind of looked at, what her dating history would look like. Obviously, when I was creating her character, I said that this was someone who just had been going through the trial and error of romantic relationships and was just like, I'm done. I just want to be me. So when I think of that person sounds like someone who was just fed up with the process. Like, I'm just done. I don't even want to think about it anymore. But I did want to keep her softness, like I said. So that meant that she couldn't be someone that was like, I'm through with love, I hate men. I didn't want her to go there. I wanted her to have hope, but just be like, it's almost like, how people say, Jesus, take the wheel. Like, I wanted her to be there with the process at the Jesus take the wheel stage, where she's just like, I'm still pouring into myself, but I'm no longer trying to control the process. Like, if the guy finds me, he finds me, and he's going to find me at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or Target. Well, not Target, because we ain't going there, right? Walmart, or wherever I go, he's going to be there. If your character is somebody that shops at Bloomingdale's, and, I heard about, well, I'm not going to bring that up, but, wherever your person shops, that's where she finds her person, wherever she is. So when I thought about that, I was like, well, clearly she has to be the villain in somebody's story, because we all are the villain in someone's story if it didn't work out. So what would the lie be? Like, what would the lie be that person's holding about her? So when you're creating your character, you want to think about that. The person that she was with in the past who believes something that's false about her, or even the person who wants to be with her, who she wasn't with, or the family member who wants her to be something that she's not. What lie do they believe about your character? And then the third and final prompt that I consider I consider it with this character is what power does she now have that she once feared? So this book, like I said before, is a romantasy. So for any of you who have read those books, you know, there's romance, but there's also some fantasy. There's some fantasy elements to it. So I had a lot of fun with this. If you're not writing a romantasy, because I don't want to give too much away, but I do want to give you an example of an answer to these 3 prompts. What this would look like is someone who was always told that they are too outspoken and they're too blunt. Like maybe they're a truth teller, and that gets under people's skin. Because sometimes, you know, I don't know if you have, but a lot of young kids are like this. So you'll find this with a lot of kids where they're just, and also very like elderly people, you'll find that too, where people are just like, well, they just say whatever comes out of their mouth, even if, you know, it hurts people's feelings, whatever, like they will tell you. And so, you know, sometimes when you're growing up, especially as a kid, people shush you, but you're right. Like the thing that you're saying is what they need to hear. They just don't want to hear it. So sometimes you'll feel shame about something that actually is a power. Like I said before, maybe you just don't know, you haven't refined it yet. So that same person that did that and was shushed about that can now, you know, lean into that superpower, and now they're an attorney and they're speaking up for people and they're advocating for people who can't advocate for themselves. Or maybe they're a therapist because they can see the truth in someone or pick out the pattern in somebody's behavior and help them work through it. So when you're thinking about your character, think about that what is the power now that they have after they've refined that thing that they used to be afraid to lean into in the past. Yeah, that's a good one. Like I really have fun with that one. Like I said, it's a fantasy, so I was able to use all my imagination and go there with that one. So have fun. So if you like this, let me know in the comments if you're going to get started on creating your first character. I'm going to get started on mine, and I'll make another video to give you guys some updates as I go through the process and as I give you tips and check in on you as you go through the process. Let me know if you're tapping into this challenge of creating your first character. And I mean, it's bonus points if you know how to use any of the AI tools to create images, because that's awesome. Before I was able to like create visuals for my characters, I would just go like on Pinterest or wherever I could find images and find like someone that kind of closely resembled what I was thinking about. But the awesome thing is now that you can really use your imagination to create an image that really looks like who you want. So use all these tools because they really help you to visualize your character and bring your character to life. If you like this content, if you want to follow along with me as I continue to outline my characters for my next new series, hit the like button, please, and subscribe to my channel and stay locked in for the next episode where I go even deeper into the psyche and all of the things that I do when I'm creating my characters for my book. It's interesting. I do a family tree and all, like it's a lot. But anyways, until then, stay bold, stay brilliant, and stay plotting. Bye.